There is the basic crash testing, which is required by law, which means all vehicles have to go through that crash test. And usually that's a minimum requirement. It's not a qualitative assessment. It's a does it do this or
Pass
not.
or fail.
And today, for example, pedestrian safety ratings are also done at the minimum level.
Correct.
And when Bharat New Car Assessment Program takes pedestrian safety into account for adding a star, it doesn't do its own independent next level testing. It takes the baseline test as did it pass or fail. And in some cases, the manufacturer is allowed to give them data that said they passed. They don't have to do anything more than that. But the New Car Assessment Program's job is to set the standard higher. And it's a voluntary higher standard versus a minimum basic legally required standard. And that's why there are two organizations at work here. So when you homologate a vehicle to meet the central motor vehicle rules, etc., you do the basic crash test. And you cannot buy a vehicle in India, four-wheeler, that has not been crash tested to those norms, successfully cleared that crash test, and only then can it be sold. You have the option of sending your car to Bharat New Car Assessment Program and seeing how much further ahead of the basic standard you are, and you could get 1, 2, 3, 4 stars in the process, 5 stars in the process. The fun part about this is because it's voluntary, you don't have to do it. And the really fun part about this is there's a lot of equipment restrictions for the side impact tests, etc., which are future oriented in the sense of a certain percentage of your cars have to have that safety equipment today, and then you have between 3 to 5, sometimes 7 years to deploy the equipment to all of the cars, which means it is entirely possible for you to see a 5-star rated car today, buy it today, but this car will receive the full complement of 5-star equipment over the next 5 years. So technically, you don't have a 5-star car.
So how I'll explain it is both those facets about the dual layer of testing. When we were talking about this earlier on MotorInc as well, when we were talking about cars and the FAQs, right, we were talking about safety. And that's because so many people were asking about crash tests and ratings. We made it clear that every car on sale in the country has to clear the 55-kilometer standard test as mandated by the government. So it's not like it's not gone through a crash test. It didn't get ratings for that. All it got was a pass or a fail mark,
Correct.
which is why it had to pass to go on sale in India. Whereas the NCAP is a tougher test, which is done at 64 kilometers an hour, Bharat NCAP or Global NCAP, right? And where then they grade the cars on how well it's performed, right? And we've seen this as well, that it happened with the Slavia, Virtus and Verna, where the Verna also got 5 stars. And that obviously shook up a lot of people, that how could the Verna be a 5-star car, Hyundai, and then in that there was a comment, there are comments made for the cars as well, and where Global NCAP then said that, there is certain amount of deformation, etc., but it's fine. We've still rated it as stable, right?
Because Global NCAP ratings are so important.
All variants do not get the equipment as standard, these safety equipments. So some of the base variants may not have some of it because of price sensitivity and all of that. So they factor that in, saying that over time, this will become standard.
Correct.
But your car inherently is capable of meeting this standard.
If the equipment arrives over the next 4 or 5 years. So the fun part about reading the Bharat New Car Assessment Program is how sensitive it is to the manufacturer's requirement. That I was not expecting, honestly. I was expecting it to be an industry body, a statement that troubles the industry. That says, oh my God, these guys are being so serious about this and we are going to have to pull up our socks. But it's not. So it says stuff like, we realize that a manufacturer might need the safety ratings to be in place for their marketing structure as a new product comes out, in which case we will do the confident. I was like, holy crap. It means that a manufacturer is being asked to use the 5-star rating, the 4-star rating or whatever it is that they earn as a marketing tool from the off.
I'm glad we've come to this now, because my entire problem with this crash test business is like you started off, saying that it's almost parallel for safety, which it is not. And second, this comes across more and more as a marketing tool. And that is a big, big problem.
It is.
Right?
Absolutely. And again, you can contest a bad result. And there is a structure to contest a bad result and saying we'll make these changes here, look at more data and all of that. And you can renegotiate many parts of a crash test. And I'm not saying that this is evil, but I'm saying there are too many open doors in this room for people to walk in and out of. And you know how Indian organizations work when there's enough loopholes. right? This is why I have very little respect for what Global NCAP does. First of all, Global NCAP was an organization whose job was to coordinate the other NCAPs, to make sure that Latin NCAP, Euro NCAP, ASEAN NCAP, ANCAP, etc., they are all communicating with each other and they're all on the same page. And the whole new car assessment program works together as a global ecosystem that leads to safer cars. At some point, they woke up and decided to be the end all and be all of global testing, focusing on Africa and Asia. I'm sorry, I can't even tell you where the money for Global NCAP is coming from. It's unclear. And there's a lot of people who allege, I'm absolutely not sure about this. There are a lot of people who allege that the airbag guys pay Global NCAP to do testing, because the one thing that happens when you Global NCAP test a car and it does badly is the manufacturer opts for more airbags.
And that's not what you want by default as the first thing.
That's the first thing, right? Even within the tests, airbag failures mechanisms are known. Airbag might fail to inflate fully, and there is a modifier that goes in the document for that. There is a very funny one about an airbag inflating badly, and it actually sounds like the airbag slapped you across the face, either horizontally or vertically, and you take away points for that because you don't want it to do that, right? It's a very fast-moving device, and it will cause damage or death, which is why seatbelts are important, right? And I'll come to the usability problems with a crash test rating later. But the fundamental structure of crash tests is not designed to be pro-user first. It appears to be designed to try and balance the requirement of the industry and the requirement of the consumer. And I'm not always convinced that the consumer's coming first. Did you like that? There's more growth serum on the main motoring channel. Look for the brand THISCONNECT. No, really, it'll help you grow. I'm not kidding, bro. Come on, do it. Try it. How can it hurt? Karthik's there.